There's a moment, and you've probably had it, where you look at someone and think, how does this person just get it? Not the loudest one in the room. Not the one with the MBA framed on the wall. But the one who, somehow, always seems to be 3 steps ahead. The one who doesn't panic when markets drop. Who doesn't celebrate too hard when they spike. Who moves through money the way a surgeon moves through a room, calm, deliberate, like they already know how the story ends. You've seen that person. Maybe you work with them. Maybe you grew up watching them. Maybe you've been trying to become them without even realizing it. Here's what nobody tells you. It's not intelligence. Not really. It's not spreadsheets. It's not even discipline, the way people usually mean it. It's psychology. The way they think. The patterns underneath the decisions. The stuff that never makes it into any personal finance book because it can't be reduced to a formula. That's what this video is about. And if you stay with me, I mean really stay, by the end of this, something is going to shift. Quietly. The way real things always do. Most people see money as a destination. You save enough, you arrive somewhere. You hit a number, and life finally begins. There's a finish line somewhere out there, and everything before it is just waiting. People with high financial IQ don't think like that. For them, money is not a destination. It's a language. And like any language, the point isn't to collect it, the point is to become fluent in it. Think about what it means to be fluent in something. You stop translating. You stop hesitating. The words come before the thought, because the thought and the word have become the same thing. That's what financial fluency looks like from the inside. It's not that they make perfect decisions. It's that they've internalized a way of reading situations that most people never develop. Here's the difference in practice. When an ordinary person sees a price tag, they ask, "Can I afford this?" When someone financially fluent sees a price tag, they ask, "What is this actually costing me?" That's not a small distinction. That's an entirely different conversation happening inside the mind. The cost of something isn't just what you pay. It's what you give up. It's the future version of that money. It's the option you're closing when you open your wallet. Economists call it opportunity cost. But people with high financial IQ don't call it anything, they just feel it, the way a musician feels when a note is slightly off. That instinct wasn't born. It was built. Slowly. Through attention, through small losses, through watching and adjusting and watching again. And the first step to building it yourself is understanding that you're not behind. You're just early. Let's talk about risk. Because this is where most people get it completely wrong. The common assumption is that people who are good with money are risk-averse. Careful. Conservative. The type who sleep well because they never bet too much. But that's not what you see when you actually study them. What you see is something more nuanced, and honestly, more interesting than that. They don't avoid risk. They've learned to read it. There's a difference between a gambler and a poker player who's been at the table for 20 years. Both are sitting in the same game. Both are putting money in. But one of them is reacting to cards, and the other one is reading the room, the patterns, the tells, the probability underneath the chaos. Same environment. Completely different relationship with uncertainty. People with high financial IQ have developed that second kind of relationship. They've made peace with the fact that certainty is a luxury that doesn't exist. And once you make peace with that, truly, not just intellectually, you stop making decisions out of fear. You start making them out of calculation. Here's what fear-based financial decisions look like. You sell when the market drops because it feels like the walls are closing in. You hold cash because at least it feels safe, even while inflation quietly eats it. You avoid investing in yourself because what if it doesn't work? Every one of those is a decision made from the gut, dressed up as reason. Calculated decisions look different. They're slower. They ask better questions. Not is this scary, but what is the actual probability here, and what happens if I'm wrong? That question, what happens if I'm wrong, is one of the most underrated questions in personal finance. Because the people who ask it regularly are the ones who never get wiped out completely. They build floors, not just ceilings. They think in downside before they think in upside. And that shift, from chasing gain to protecting position, is one of the quietest but most powerful transitions a person can make with money. We live in the most information-rich moment in human history. Every day, there are thousands of voices telling you what to buy, what to sell, what's going up, what's collapsing, what you're missing, what you should have done 6 months ago. And most people are drowning in it, not because they're not paying attention, but because they're paying attention to everything equally. That's the trap. People with high financial IQ are not better informed. They're better filtered. There's a wall between them and the noise, not because they're ignorant, but because they've learned, usually through painful experience, that most information is just weather. It changes constantly, it feels urgent, and it almost never matters as much as it seems in the moment. What they actually pay attention to is structure. Patterns. The bones underneath the surface movement. While everyone else is watching the waves, they're studying the tide. Here's a concrete way to feel that difference. Think about how most people consume financial news. They read a headline, they feel something, anxiety, excitement, urgency, and that feeling drives behavior. A bad jobs report comes out and suddenly everything feels fragile. A tech stock surges and suddenly they're wondering if they're missing out. The emotion is the response, and the decision follows the emotion. Now think about someone who has trained themselves differently. They read the same headline. They feel the same initial pull. But then, and this is the part that takes years to develop, they pause and ask, is this signal or noise? Does this change anything about the long game, or does it just feel like it does? That pause is everything. That one beat of space between stimulus and response is where financial intelligence actually lives. Not in the analysis that follows, in the discipline to create that space at all. The Stoics had a word for this. They called it the gap, the moment between what happens to you and how you choose to respond. Marcus Aurelius wrote about it. Viktor Frankl rebuilt his entire philosophy around it after surviving things most of us will never face. And it turns out, that ancient idea applies directly to how money moves through your life. Because the market will always be volatile. The economy will always have cycles. There will always be something that feels like it demands an immediate reaction. The question is never whether the noise exists. The question is whether you've built the internal architecture to hear through it. And that architecture isn't built by reading more. It's built by reading differently. Slower. With more skepticism. With a longer time horizon always somewhere in the back of your mind, anchoring you when everything else is pulling you sideways. If there's one thing that separates people with high financial IQ from everyone else, one thing, if I had to choose, it's this: they think in decades while most people think in months. That sounds simple. It isn't. Because thinking in decades is not an intellectual exercise. It's not just telling yourself to be patient and then checking your portfolio every 3 days anyway. It's a deep, almost physical rewiring of how you experience time in relation to money. And most people never do it. Not because they're not smart enough, but because everything around them is designed to prevent it. Think about the environment we operate in. Apps that update in real time. Feeds that refresh every 30 seconds. Friends posting wins. Headlines screaming urgency. The entire financial media ecosystem is built on one thing, making you feel like right now is the only moment that matters. Because anxiety drives clicks. And clicks drive revenue. Your restlessness is someone else's business model. People with high financial IQ have, at some point, recognized that trap. And they've stepped out of it. There's a concept in behavioral economics called hyperbolic discounting. It describes the very human tendency to prefer smaller rewards now over larger rewards later, even when the math clearly favors waiting. It's why someone takes $100 today over $150 next month. The future feels abstract. The present feels real. And so we systematically undervalue what's coming in favor of what's here. This isn't weakness. It's biology. Our brains were built for immediate environments, predators, hunger, shelter. The idea of optimizing for 30 years from now is genuinely new to the human nervous system. We're not wired for it naturally. It has to be constructed. And what does that construction look like? It looks like automating decisions so your present self doesn't get to negotiate with your future self. It looks like setting rules in advance, when you're calm, and then honoring them when you're not. It looks like building systems instead of relying on willpower, because willpower is a resource that depletes, and systems don't care how you feel on a Tuesday afternoon. But more than any of that, it looks like genuinely internalizing one uncomfortable truth, that the version of you 10 years from now is just as real as the version of you right now. That person will wake up somewhere, in some financial reality, shaped almost entirely by decisions the current you is making today. Not dramatically. Quietly. One small choice at a time. People with high financial IQ feel that future person. Not as an abstraction, as a presence. Someone they're in a relationship with. Someone they're accountable to. And that accountability changes everything about how they spend, how they save, how they wait, and how they resist. Here's something nobody talks about. And it might be the most important thing in this entire video. The way you handle money is a mirror. Not of your intelligence. Not of your discipline. Of your identity. Of the story you carry about who you are and what you deserve and what's possible for someone like you. That last phrase is the one that matters. Someone like you. Because everyone, and I mean everyone, walks around with an invisible ceiling built from everything they absorbed growing up. The conversations they overheard at the dinner table. The way their parents talked about rich people. Whether money felt like safety or like tension. Whether wealth was something that belonged to your world, or something that happened to other kinds of people in other kinds of places. Most of us never examine that ceiling. We just live underneath it. We make decisions that feel rational but are actually just the ceiling enforcing itself, quietly, invisibly, with remarkable consistency. People with high financial IQ have, at some point, looked up. They've noticed the ceiling. And then, and this is the part that requires real courage, they've questioned whether it's real or whether it's inherited. There's a term in psychology called the thermostat effect. It describes how people tend to return to a financial baseline, their psychological set point for money, regardless of what happens to them externally. Win a lottery? Studies show most people return to their original financial state within a few years. Get a significant raise? Lifestyle expands to match it, and the feeling of abundance disappears. Lose everything? Some people rebuild to the exact same level they were at before, almost automatically. The thermostat isn't the bank account. It's the belief system underneath it. And this is where high financial IQ gets deeply personal. Because the technical skills, budgeting, investing, understanding compounding, those can be learned in an afternoon. They're not the hard part. The hard part is sitting with the question, what do I actually believe about money, and where did that belief come from? Not what you say you believe. Not what sounds reasonable when you explain it to someone else. What you actually believe, in the quiet part of the mind, when a real opportunity is in front of you and something in your chest says, that's not for me. That voice. That's the thermostat. People who develop genuine financial intelligence learn to hear that voice without obeying it automatically. They learn to ask whether it's wisdom or conditioning. Whether it's protecting them or limiting them. And they develop, over time, the ability to rewrite the setting, not through affirmations, not through vision boards, but through repeated, deliberate action that slowly builds a new kind of evidence about who they are. Identity changes when behavior changes. Not the other way around. You don't think your way into a new financial identity. You act your way there, one uncomfortable decision at a time, until the new behavior becomes the new normal, and the ceiling quietly dissolves. If you're still here, and I mean really here, not just background noise while you scroll, I want to pause for a second and say something directly. This kind of content takes time to make. Not just to film. To think. To sit with. To make sure that what's being said is actually worth your time and not just more noise dressed up as wisdom. If this video has given you even one thing worth keeping, hit that subscribe button and come with us. We put out content every day, and it's all built around the same intention, helping you think more clearly about the things that actually shape your life. And if you're someone who's been watching these videos and feeling that quiet recognition, that feeling of yes, this is exactly what I've been trying to articulate, then you already know that this work isn't just about money. It's about becoming someone who moves through the world with more clarity, more intention, more ownership of their own story. Which brings me back to where we need to go. Because here's the thing about everything we've covered: the fluency, the risk, the filtered attention, the long time horizon, the identity work, none of it operates in isolation. These are 5 separate skills you develop one at a time and then stack neatly on top of each other. They're dimensions of a single orientation toward life. And that orientation has a name. Not a fancy one. Just this: ownership. Not ownership of assets, though that follows. Ownership of attention. Of narrative. Of response. The refusal to be purely reactive in a world that profits from your reaction. The decision, made quietly and renewed constantly, to be the author of your financial life rather than a character in someone else's story. That's what extremely high financial IQ actually looks like from the inside. Not a portfolio. Not a strategy. A posture. A way of standing in relation to money, to time, to risk, to identity, that makes every specific decision easier, clearer, more aligned with where you're actually trying to go. And here's what that means practically, as we move toward the close of this. You don't become financially intelligent in a day. You probably already knew that. But here's what you might not have known coming into this video: the gap between where you are and where you want to be is not primarily a knowledge gap. It's not a strategy gap. It's a perception gap. The way you see money, the way you see time, the way you see yourself in relation to both, that's the terrain. Everything else is just tools. And tools only work in the hands of someone who knows what they're building. So the real question, the one worth sitting with after this video ends and the screen goes dark, is not what should I invest in or how much should I save. Those are important questions, but they're downstream questions. The upstream question is this: who is the person making these decisions, and do I trust them? Do you trust the version of you that shows up when money is involved? When fear is involved? When the gap between where you are and where you want to be feels uncomfortably wide? Because that trust, that's the foundation. Everything else gets built on top of it. And it doesn't come from certainty. It comes from the slow accumulation of moments where you chose the harder, clearer, more honest path. Where you looked at the ceiling and decided it wasn't load-bearing. Where you paused, just for one beat, before letting emotion become decision. That's the work. It's quiet work. It doesn't look impressive from the outside. But it compounds, the way everything real does, invisibly at first, and then all at once. There's a verse that has stayed with me through all of this. Proverbs 13 verse 11, "Wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it." Written thousands of years ago. Still the most accurate description of how financial intelligence actually operates that I've ever encountered. Not fast. Not loud. Little by little. With patience that feels almost unreasonable until it isn't. That's the psychology of people with extremely high financial IQ. Not genius. Not luck. Just a different relationship with time, with self, with the slow and unglamorous work of building something that lasts. If this landed, if something in your shifted, even slightly, hit that subscribe button and share this video with 5 people you actually care about. Not to fill a feed. Because some conversations are worth having together. And leave a comment below. A real one. Tell me what hit you, what you disagreed with, what you're still turning over. And if you have a topic you want us to go deep on next, drop it there. The best videos on this channel have come from exactly that. I'll see you in the next one.